And welcome back to Talking Law TV. We're here with Doug Andrews. Hi, Doug.
Hey, Michael.
And we're going to talk now about DUI and the first-time offender.
A shock to many people.
You know, a lot of people go out and they want to have a good time, and most people know when to say no.
That's true, and most people that are arrested for DUI have never committed another crime in their life.
No, and no one thinks driving under the influence is smart, but how come so many rich and famous celebrities and prominent citizens get arrested for it?
That's because they're having a good time, and alcohol does affect one's judgment about, and probably that person's the last one who should decide, am I okay to drive or not, because judgment might already be affected.
And those are people that are used to not being told no very often.
That too, but the state of our DUI law is you don't have to know you're committing a crime. And I say that in the sense that if you're inebriated, drunk, if you are actually intoxicated, you feel it. You know that you're probably not okay to drive.
Yeah, I prepared a little surprise for you.
All right, but let me finish that thought with you. On the other hand, the other flavor of DUI being simply over the limit, you don't have to be impaired. You don't have to know you're over the limit. Just be there. A .08 is 3 drinks. Many social drinkers do that every night, and they only get caught because they get stopped for running a yellow light or something, and that then begins the investigation when the officer smells alcohol.
Okay, we talked about the rich and famous getting busted for it, and this is probably not how some of them want to be remembered. This is a famous booking shot of Glenn Campbell. There's a rhinestone cowboy in a not-so-good mood.
Looks more like Jack Nicholson.
It does. And then there's Heather Locklear. And then we have one of Jack Bauer, Kiefer Sutherland from 24. And then the roving billionaire, Mel Gibson.
And his rant.
Yeah, nothing like a career killer there. And then everybody's favorite, Nick Nolte, with the hairstyle of the 90s. Anyway, we'll get back to the questions. And first one is, what's the reaction of the normal first-time offender?
It does vary, of course, and it depends upon their circumstance and what's going on in their life. More often, I am seeing people that come to the office and say, I'm so embarrassed because when I came in Monday morning, on my chair was my booking photo, because the sheriff has those booking photos on the website. And there are some people, especially big companies, like our friends at Gulfstream, there's a few folks out there that apparently don't have anything better to do than go online every morning and see who they recognize, and it's all immediately all over the plant.
Is that a cause for termination from any company?
Usually not, although Georgia's an at-fire state, so you can get fired for any reason or no reason, as long as it's not an illegal reason. But normally not. Many companies, though, do have a policy now that you sign up for when you get employed that says, if I get arrested, I will notify my boss. Well, there's a double-edged sword.
Well, what are the most frequent consequences caused by this arrest, aside from public embarrassment and your picture in the paper?
That and loss of job, loss of driver's license, and for many people, the license is the job, and fear, if not actual, jail.
Okay, for a lot of people, you know, when they get pulled over, it's always, well, I know Pete Lakakis, I know Sheriff St. Lawrence, I know Mayor Johnson, and they're not going to let this happen. Is that always the case or ever the case? In
Chatham County, it is absolutely no help. And I have seen cases where folks have tried to use that and it backfires on them. They actually get treated differently in a bad way than a good way, in the sense that once you raise that specter that you might be seeking political favor because of who you are, discussions stop. They just shut down. They won't talk to you about, let's say it's a weak case to begin with, and that if you were just ordinary citizen, didn't know nobody, your lawyer, me maybe, could file a motion to dismiss for lack of probable cause or for something else wrong with the case. But now everybody's so hyper, they just pass the buck. They're not going to make a decision to dismiss your case because of fear they'll be accused of showing favoritism. So sometimes it can hurt you.
Yeah, you mentioned just now about defending the case. Can a case be successfully defended?
Absolutely. In the sense that there's no perfect crime, there's also no perfect arrest. For example, our state troopers are some of the best trained officers in the state. But I have a case where I had the state trooper on cross-examination the other day, and I said, "Officer, you did the horizontal gaze nystagmus, checking for jerkiness of the eyes and 3 different parameters. You did that. How many passes of the stimulus did you make?" And he said, 2. I said, 2 total? He said, "That's right." Well, the right answer is 12 total, plus 2 more to qualify the person to do horizontal gaze nystagmus. You have to have equal tracking or else they have a brain injury maybe. So he was out to lunch on that one. With luck, I should get, and a fair judge, I should get that horizontal gaze nystagmus test suppressed. And that's all he did, was the 1 test plus a little breath test that merely shows whether alcohol's there or not.
So there's no reading of how much?
The machine gives a reading, the little instrument does, but it's not forensically reliable or accurate, so it can't come into evidence.
If one is convicted, what's the usual punishment?
On a first offense, 10 days jail, mandated by statute.
Is that on the weekends, or you go now and you stay there?
10 days jail, it's up to the judge. However, the statute goes on to say the judge may, in the judge's discretion, suspend all but 24 hours of that jail time if the person was 0.08 BAC, breath alcohol concentration or more. So you don't have to do more than 24 hours jail, but you are supposed to do at least 24 hours jail. And 40 hours community service, balance of 12 months on probation, a fine ranging from $300 to $1,000 plus court costs, attend and complete DUI risk reduction program, 20-hour program, costs $287. It's not mandated by law, but most of our judges are requiring folks to go to the victim impact panel. Those are the primary consequences.
So how is getting a lawyer, if you get a lawyer, is you're able to mitigate some of these punishments?
That, and you know what you're doing with your case. The lawyer who knows what he or she is doing can evaluate the case to see if there's a reasonable argument to get you out of it. Maybe it is a bad DUI charge. An arrest is not a conviction. Just because you're arrested on probable cause doesn't mean the government can prove beyond reasonable doubt you're guilty. This is America. So for those who have to fight it, because those consequences also include suspension of driver's license. For 12 months on paper, after 120 days, you can lift it by showing DUI school done and paying a reinstatement fee. But for many people, they can't survive with a limited permit for their work purposes and so forth.
Okay, everybody knows in the surrounding area that you're the guy to see, but for people who live outside the area who may be watching the show on the internet, how do you go about finding a good DUI defense attorney?
Well, I'll be happy to refer them because I know who does the primary work in that area. But I go as far as Brunswick, down to a little further than that, St. Mary's if I have to. People need my help. Have car, will travel.
Okay, thank you so much, Doug. We'll be back with Gene Brooks talking about Yaz and Yasmin, a drug injury that you can get from a birth control pill. We'll be right back.